Welcome to Art Adventures. I'm Miss Cindy, and this week we're going to be painting a lighthouse. It's a little tricky of one, but if you get behind or anything, you can just pause your video and wait till you get caught up with us. It's fine. Okay, so first we need to draw a little rough thing of where the lighthouse is going to be. So on my plate I took some white and I've got a little bit of the ochre color. So I'm going to take some of the white and add just a little bit of the ochre to end up with like a beige color. You want to be able to see it, so you want it to be darker than the white, but not too dark, like not this color dark. So just kind of do it a lighter color like that. It's fine. Okay, actually I'm going to switch brushes now. That extra in there. Okay. So first I'm going to draw out the lighthouse. So I'm going to kind of go to about right there. I need enough for the top then. And I'm going to start like there. And you want it a little wider on the bottom. So I'm just going to make the dots where it's going to be first. And then I'm going to try to draw a line up to it. I'm not very good at straight lines, so. Okay, about like that. So now I'm going to fill it in with this beige color. I'm going to switch back to my bigger brush. A lot faster. So you want enough room at the bottom because the ground is going to be down there. But if you go a little past where it's going to be, it's okay, because we're going to cover it up anyway. So cover the whole area with the beige color. Just like that. Just in case. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take the light color, the ochre color, the beige kind of color that we made. I'm going to add a little more white to it. And what you want is you want a real dry brush. I'm going to take my bigger brush, it's a rounded one. You want it real dry and you want just a little bit of paint on it, because what you're going to do is you're going to kind of scrape it on the canvas like this to kind of blend it in. You don't want it real heavy everywhere. Just kind of take a little at a time, and you want the sky to have a little bit of a yellowy color to it. Okay, now I'm going to switch over to the blue. And I've got a little bit of white here. I'm just going to add a little bit of blue to it. Doesn't have to be mixed really well. I'm going to try to wipe most of it off. And I'm going to do the same thing with the blue. I'm just kind of mixing it in, kind of making a little swirly sky. want to go about 4 inches or so from the bottom. You want it real light so you can just kind of blend your colors together, because you want to overlap a little and you want to just kind of keeping it thin. The tricky part is when you're next to the lighthouse. Because you don't want to go over the line. You can even paint a line to start with and then kind of squish it up like that a little bit. And every once in a while, I'm going to stick a little bit more of that color in. Kind of want the sky different shades, a little bit more blue in some spots, and then you want it real light in other spots. You get some white. And some places you can just kind of mostly do with it a little bit of white with just a little bit of blue in it, like that. Just kind of blend it all together so you get nice soft lines. And you just want a mixture of colors in the sky, with the blue and the white and the ochre. That if it looks too pale in any of the places, just add a little bit more blue. I'm going to add a little blue over here now. And I can blend it in with more of the white. The trickiest part is when you're right next to the lighthouse. Okay, I think that is good. Maybe a little bit of this color in here. Okay, so now we're going to make a line. Where the water line is going to be. Move this a little bit closer, just in case. Okay, so I'm just going to take the straight blue. I'm actually going to start on this side, I think. I have a hard time drawing the straight line. Okay. And across the side. Actually, I am going to turn this to make it easier. Okay, so now once you have your line, I'm actually going to switch to my flat brush again. That'll fit. I'm going to take a little bit of this, just the blue, no white mixed in. So just a little bit of blue, not a lot. This side's going to be real skinny because there's not much water showing on that side. But the other side, fix that a little bit. I'm going to kind of make a line for the ground. Okay. All right, so then this part I am going to fill in with the blue. Over. Trying to get that last bit without going over into the other spot. Okay, then when you have the blue, you need to add some white to it. You gotta have the waves. And since this part's a little drier, you can get them in here. So just make some white lines. You can just kind of go over them lightly. Once your brush gets too blue again, wipe it off. Start again with a little bit of white. Just want to make it look like the waves in the ocean. Okay. All right, I'm going to go like that then. All right, now we need it to dry for a while before we do the ground. Okay, now while that's drying a little bit more, we're going to do another layer on our lighthouse. So I'm going to take the flat brush again, and I'm going to take some more white. Okay, and this time it's just going to be very, very light in color. I'm just adding it a little bit to the color that was already there, so it's a little bit lighter, and it's mostly white. And I'm just going to go over it and give it another layer, but not cover it completely. You want to be able to see the yellowish layer underneath it. So you just kind of want to go over it, kind of quick like that. Okay, so just like that, so you can still see the yellowy color underneath and then the white one on the top. Just kind of adds more depth to it that way. Makes it look textured like. Alright, so now we're going to do the red on the top of the lighthouse. So we're going to do all of this part. So take your red, use whatever brush will work for you. This one might be too big. I'm going to have to switch to the smaller one after. Alright, so first there's going to be the line going across the top. And it's going to stick out on each side a little bit. And then we're going to aim for right there. Okay. And then we're going to make another line. I'm not good at making straight lines when they're on the easel. Okay. So we're going to make another line there. And that's going to be the bottom of it. My first one I made it too big in this area, so this one I'm going to make a little bit smaller in that area. Okay. I actually think I am going to take it off the easel. Now we can see it a little better and I can paint it a little straighter. Okay. So you want the side coming down. Oops, where's my red? Like I said, if you need to switch to a smaller brush, do whichever one's easiest for you. I think I'm going to have to switch to a smaller one after I fill in this top part. So fill in that with the red. Okay, now I'm going to switch to the smaller brush. Now you have some lines down the middle. Separate your windows. All right. Now while I still have the red, I'm going to take a little bit of brown. I'm going to mix it in just to get some highlights on here. Just to make a little bit of a darker red in some of the spots. as a little bit of a highlight. And now I'm going to take some brown and I'm going to try to make a really skinny line. I'm going to add this little piece of brown underneath. Alright. With the brown, I'm going to add it to a little bit of white. Add a little bit like that to make it have some accents to it. You can also take a little bit of white, which I think I was going to take this creamyish color, and add a little bit of white on one side for accent. And a little bit on there too. Okay, just to make it look like the light shining on it. Now this is the really, really tricky part. Trying to make these little skinny windows. It's got 3 little skinny slots, which are supposed to be windows, coming down. And on this side of the lighthouse, you're going to put a little bit of brown. You don't want to cover it all the way. You just kind of want a little line to make it look like the sun's on the other side, so that's just got a little bit of outline to it. Just kind of like that. Okay. I'm going to try to cover this up a little bit. I went over a little bit too far with my glue. I can get rid of some of that. Yeah, came out a little bit better. Okay, so now I need to do the ground down here. Make sure your blue is all dry, which mine is. So everybody's got the ochre, and you're going to need more white. Okay, so I'm going to take a little bit of the ochre and a little bit of the white and mix it together. You want to mix it up and then paint your ground. Kind of like a dark sand color. We're going to go back and make some darker spots and some lighter spots. So just kind of like that. Just kind of cover the whole ground. Okay. Now we're going to add a little bit of the brown to it. So just take a tiny, tiny bit of brown, like hardly anything. And I'm going to mix a little in. Just want to add a little here and there because we just want it to look like the ground, not perfectly all one color. Not like that. Add a little bit of ochre. Just kind of a matter of playing around with it till you get the colors and the streaks that you like. That's going to get covered up with green anyway. All right. Okay. Now we need to make some green. We have a couple different shades of green. So first, I'm going to put 3 piles of green on here. 1 pile, 2 piles, and 3 piles. Okay. So to one of the piles, you want to add a little bit of brown because you want to make a dark green. Okay. And now you want to add a pile of white to the other green so you can make a light green. Okay, so we have 3 different shades of green now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the regular green with nothing mixed in it, and I'm going to make some little dots. Move that so you can see that. I'm going to make some little dots to make all this greenery. So you start out with the regular green and just kind of dab it on the edge where the land and the water meet. And you kind of want it to come inward a little bit. Mine's still a little wet, so if you wanted to take a minute and wait and pause until this is dry, you can go ahead and do it, but I'm going to just keep going. So you want it that one, and I'm going to keep going, and then we're going to make another little part. You want to hide that line where it's joined from the water to the land. And you can have it a little bit higher up on the lighthouse. And then you want to come out this way, make a little hill this direction too. Just kind of dab it. A little dab of paint will go a long way. Just kind of dab it all over just with the regular green first. And then we're going to go back with the other 2 greens. And we're going to do some of the light ones and some of the dark ones. You don't want it lined up perfect. You want it kind of to look more natural, like shrubs growing on the countryside near the water. Okay. Do a little out into the water. It's not that it's in the water, it's just that it's sticking up in front of the water. Do a little bit more up on around the lighthouse. there's a spot you need to cover up because you made a mistake on it where the water is and the lighthouse meet, you can cover it up with that. Okay. So after you do the light green, the regular green, you're going to go back now with the dark green, and you're going to add a little highlights here and there of the dark green. You don't want it all over. You don't want it covering every spot like the regular green did. You just want it here and there to have little accents of another color. Alright. And then after you do it with the dark green, you want to do the same thing. You want to take some of the light green and you want to do the same thing. It actually shows up more when it's dry than when it's wet. So you just want a little here and there to accent it. Don't cover everything. I think that's good. Okay. And I think we are finished. I'm going to go over that one spot a little bit more. Try to hide where I messed it up. There, it looks even better now. Okay, so don't forget to put your initials on it. And we are done. Thank you for coming. Wait, oh.